think Kittle just gave you the answer very, very clearly right there. Let's run it back, right. Jimmy G. I don't think that he makes this a healthier team. I really don't. I think that it's a real poor decision to make the bet that you could bring in Tom Brady after this guy was the quarterback that led you on a Super Bowl run. You could have every excuse, every reason why Jimmy G was not the guy for the Niners this year. He missed a couple throws. They could win the Super Bowl. He's not controlling the ball the right way. He's loose with it, as Whit would say. Thou loose him with the ball. But nonetheless.
All true. Those are all true things.
Yeah, you know what else is true? They won. They went to the playoffs. They won in the playoffs. They went to the Super Bowl. And with 7 minutes, just under 8 minutes left in that Super Bowl game, they had a double-digit lead on who would end up being the Super Bowl champs. I don't put that on a quarterback. I put that on coaching. The coaches should have had a better chance, a better strategy of slowing down the Kansas City Chiefs offense, which means that Jimmy G would have been on the sideline when the game was being won and lost during the course of that Super Bowl game. I don't think it's a great decision, and I think you put Jimmy Garoppolo in a losing situation to have to replace Tom Brady going to New England, and you put Tom Brady, actually the GOAT, in a losing situation by going to the Niners.
What you just said about the final 7 minutes of the Super Bowl, how San Francisco had that lead and then blew it, that's why I think that Tom Brady actually would make the San Francisco 49ers better, simply because when you look at it from the macro, letting go of a young, entering his prime quarterback for an aging, will be 43 in August, Tom Brady, that defies all logic. But I think this is an unusual situation because we see throughout the year, the 49ers, they leaned on the run game. They leaned on that smoldering defense. And everybody, a lot of people thought that Jimmy G was considered the weakest link of that team. So this team right here is a quarterback away from probably being Super Bowl champions. We see the overthrow to Emmanuel Sanders late in the game. And if that throw is completed, we're looking right now at Jimmy G being Super Bowl MVP rather than Pat Mahomes. So you look at Tom Brady being from the Bay Area, growing up a 49ers fan, and actually seeing that this team is built to win now. They're over there running the bells and whistles on offense, all the shifts and all the motions. We can see Kyle Shanahan, he's doing his best to hide Jimmy G. Let's go ahead and call it what it is. I'm not saying Jimmy G's a scrub, but I'm simply saying that I think that Tom Brady would make this team better for right now. Like I said, you go ahead, get rid of your young guy for this older, aging veteran who's got maybe 2 years at most left. Yes, that's going to defy all logic, but I think in this situation, this team is built to win right now. I think it would make the 49ers better right now.
And if you take it a step further, that Tom Brady in the short term provides, one, the playmaking, decision-making in late-game situation, but also coming into a situation, okay, you have ties who are built into, like we saw this picture right here with Kittle hugging. But that's a relationship. But when Tom comes in and they get a chance to understand who Tom is in the short term, his work ethic, the knowledge upstairs, that breathes different life into that offense in the short term. Because that's what we're talking about. Because Father Time is undefeated. At one point, his skills are going to diminish. So if you have a chance to win it now, does it make him better short term? Yes. What's the long-term play for John Lynch in San Francisco? It's to be perennial playoff contenders competing for a championship. And if this can get you something now, again, obviously, if they make this trade, if they make this happen, they don't have the belief in Jimmy G.
100%. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, and to me, and I don't want to interrupt you, Rick, to me, where the biggest caveat of all of this is you can see the way they structured Jimmy G's contract. They created an escape hatch where they can go ahead and get out of this thing with minimal penalty. So that shows you right there exactly how much belief they had in Jimmy G when they signed him to the contract, and even so far this past season.
I believe 100% that the fact that they're even entertaining this, and they're at the very least entertaining this, says what they think about Jimmy G and his ability to get them there. You presented this narrative that Jimmy G is this young up, and you're not alone. Most people look at it this way, including in the Bay Area. Jimmy G is this young up-and-coming quarterback who led the 49ers to a Super Bowl. And you're going to trade him for this old Tom Brady, this old quarterback who couldn't even get past the Titans in the wild card game at home. But here's the reality. If you look at their regular season numbers, they're very comparable. And that thing about being loose with the ball, look, Garoppolo threw a lot less and threw a lot more interceptions. Fumbled the ball 5 times, lost 5 fumbles. Tom only did it once. And if you're asking me in those moments that made the difference, not the comeback by the Chiefs, but where the 49ers had a chance to put it out of reach, that was the opportunity that Jimmy had, and Jimmy didn't take advantage of, and I dare say Tom would have.
How long were you in the league for?
8 years.
How many times did you play in the Super Bowl?
None.
How far did you go into the playoffs?
Divisional round. Lost to the New England Patriots back in 2012.
Okay. How many times were you in the playoffs?
Once.
So that one time that you went to the playoffs, who was your quarterback?
It was Matt Schaub, Houston Texans.
Matt Schaub, the Houston Texans. And we had a good year that year, right? Mm-hmm. How many times you been in a championship game?
I can't wait to hear where this is going.
I've been to Western Conference Finals a couple times.
Here's
You
where
know
I'm
what
going.
this is?
And
You know
I
what
know
this
where
is?
you- and I know where you go.
You know what this
Here's where
is?
I'm going.
No. You know what this is? This is kill the messenger.
You know how many
This is
times,
kill the messenger.
You know how many times I've been in the playoffs as an active player? Once.
Okay.
All right? I don't care what you say. It is hard to make it to the playoffs.
Sure.
Very true.
It is
Very true.
It is darn hard to make it to the playoffs. It is even harder to make it to the Super Bowl. All right? So this idea of, well, we're automatically going to go back to the Super Bowl if we have Tom Brady, or this thing that Jimmy Garoppolo isn't as good as he should be as a quarterback, or throwing the ball, he's loose with the ball, or we can win the Super Bowl. Who's to say that once you replace Jimmy Garoppolo with Tom Brady or any other quarterback that you would think would be an upgrade to him, that quarterback is actually going to be good enough to play his part within the role of that team for them to not only have a successful regular season,
Sure,
but to have a successful playoff run and be up by double digits.
There are
with
no guarantees.
7 minutes left in a game.
There are no
And
guarantees.
to put that on a quarterback, I think, is very irresponsible.
But no, I get your point, because there's a huge study that shows that the team that loses the Super Bowl oftentimes doesn't even make it to the playoffs the next season.
Look at the Rams.
Obviously, we're sitting over here doing a lot of projecting. I get
Right.
that. But for just the sake of this question, the sake of this discussion, in this situation right here for the 49ers, based on the way the contract was constructed, based on the way that you see there is always a shift or a motion or something like that to go ahead and try to fool us as the defense whenever you're going against the 49ers offense, that right there to me shows that Kyle Shanahan does not have an extensive belief in Jimmy G being the guy that can go ahead and just take the team on his back and over the hump.
Okay, let me ask you this. So Jimmy G, how many years has he started?
2?
This is
2 years?
How many?
This was his first full.
First full. Okay,
first
so
full is
name me in the NFL quarterbacks who have come in their first full year and won a Super Bowl.
I know.
First full year?
Yeah,
First full year starting?
Okay, so
know.
okay,
Tom Brady got there.
First full
Not,
year
that
not
wasn't
his
his
starting?
first
full.
full
That
year.
wasn't his
No,
first
well,
full.
he was there in 2000, 2001. He
Right.
came in.
I don't
Drew
know.
Bledsoe got hurt, and
right.
he took him the rest
Yeah,
of
but
the
that's what I'm saying. He's saying the first full year
full
starting.
year. So here's what I'm saying. The broader point is that the impatience part about allowing a quarterback to grow into their position somewhat is not there. Because Pat Mahomes, young, he has an opportunity to win it at a young age, playing against another young quarterback. Okay? Now we want it to be, it's the same way in the NBA. We want things now. We don't want somebody to mature into who they can be. I know you're shaking your head. That's what you're doing over there. And we're trying to compare an experienced Tom Brady who's been through 6 Super Bowls to a young
been through the fire.
Garoppolo and trying to say, well, this is the reason why. He's not going to compare to Tom Brady.
And you forgot to add, had his team up by
That's
two.
right. He's not going to compare
possession
numbers.
game.
Why? And sometimes in clutch situations, at his youth, where he's at, he's not going to perform at the same as Tom Brady. He's just not.
All right.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. And be sure to check out more of the best clips from Speak For Yourself, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.